Start in a comfortable seat on your back if need be. We'll join on our backs in just a few minutes. Today's class celebrating, we have a really full week, right? We have the solstice and we have Christmas and we had a full moon weekend, the whole weekend. And if you felt really energized, that's what that was about. And just this, a fullness, kind of want to celebrate a fullness, and that fullness is always present. It's always there. It's always there. And some of us call that love, and some of us have a specific given name like God or Christ or source or spirit. So I just want to read a short poem before we get started as you're settling in. And feel free, you can substitute any word for Christ here. Make ready for the Christ whose smile like lightning sets free the song of everlasting glory that now sleeps in your paper flesh like dynamite. Make ready for the love whose smile like lightning sets free the song of everlasting glory that now sleeps in your paper flesh like dynamite. So we're going to open to that source, that love, the Buddha, the Christ, because it is in us and it is a fullness that we possess always. So just if it's comfortable, close your eyes down for just a few minutes of settling, bringing a heaviness to your bones, watching the breath as we do a deep dive into sensation. Notice if you feel in a hurry in any way, just give yourself this gift of time, practice. Just checking in, how is it right now for you? How is it? We'll meet on our backs. When you're ready, just come over to your mat. Have your strap with you, have a block with you. But we meet in the horizontal, which is said to be more of the receptive union posture versus vertical, which is said to be more of the self, the ego. So we meet in the horizontal together. And here you could just evoke the yawn, a little pandiculation, whatever comes out of you naturally. So from the inside out, whatever arises. And then we'll bend the knees, take the soles of the feet to the floor, interlace your hands behind your head. Good. On the inhale, slide your right elbow back behind you. Knees stay still if possible. Exhale, bring that back to center. Inhale, slide the left elbow back behind you, and exhale back to center. Now take about 3 more on each side at your own pace and with your breath. Should feel scapulae moving as you slide one elbow back. Come back to center, slide in the opposite direction. And then once we're back to the center position, keep hands interlaced behind your head. Inhale and draw your low back off the floor. Press your elbows into the floor. And slide your chin up towards the ceiling. Open your jaw. Exhale, round back down towards floor. Bring elbows together. Lift head and shoulders off the floor. Inhale, come back to the floor. Elbows press into the floor. Arch back away from floor. Slide chin up towards the ceiling, open your jaw. Exhale, round your back towards the floor, elbows come towards one another, lift head and shoulders. All right, do a few of these on your own. If you're at all confused about the movement, just allow what naturally sort of occurs as you get curious in this contracting and expanding movement. The next time you exhale, reach your one elbow towards opposite knee. Don't overdo it. Don't make it too challenging. Just inhale, come back to the floor, and exhale. When you squeeze the elbows together, reach opposite elbow over towards opposite knee or in that direction. A few more on each side. Take your time and do just exactly as the instructions are suggesting. So on the inhale, press elbows, lift lower back away, arch the cervical spine as well, and open the jaw. Good. Next time you come back to the floor, take the arms long in a T shape and just begin to windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Take your time so that the in-swinging knee really pulls across midline. And that same side, so if I bring my knees to the right, my left knee is in swinging, left arm heavy. Exhale to come back up to center, knees to the left. Really let the right knee swing across midline and right arm is heavy. A few more. We do this a lot and act or bring a newness to it. Keep the edges of your feet connected to the floor like you're skiing. Then come back to the center, all right, and take your hands behind your head once again and bring now your right knee over your left knee, Gomukhasana legs. just right knee over left knee. You can rest your left foot on the floor, and just let your knees move slightly to the right, back to center, slightly to the right. So really subtle movement, which we know the brain likes, the nervous system likes. And our movement should feel nice and smooth. So we're not going too far to the right. Hands interlaced underneath your head. Close the eyes down, really feel this. And then switch, left leg on top. Just knees over to the left slightly, back to center. Let's come back to the first side, right knee over left or right leg over left. And now as you take your knees over to the right, slide the right elbow back behind you. And then exhale to come back, going the same direction. So knees to the right, slide right elbow back. You'll feel a shortening on one side waist, lengthening on the other. Squiggle here. Back to center. One more time to the right, right elbow slides back, come back to the center, and now switch the interlace of your hands and take left leg on top. Knees drop to the left, slide left elbow back. Come back. Knees to the left, slide left elbow back. As we move through practice today, I would encourage you to notice your responses to things that might be different or challenging in different ways. Sometimes this floor work is challenging for people. I can't quite feel it. It's too subtle. Good. Come back to center and then unwind your legs, soles of the feet to the floor once again, and arms out to the side. And we'll windshield wiper the legs. But this time, as your knees drop to the right, lift the left arm just slightly off the floor. Engage your core. Exhale back to center. Knees to the left. Lift the right arm off the floor slightly, just like a half an inch. Engage your core. Come back to center. So just remember, this is a practice of self-discovery. Body, mind, spirit. How we respond to things is part of that self-discovery. And coming back to center now, we're going to roll onto one side. Support your head on your bottom arm and bend the top leg and set it behind the bottom leg. Then stretch both arms long. Take your top arm with your bottom hand and just really get stretched through the top side waist, okay? And then press bottom leg, press the pinky toe into the floor firmly. Back your head up. If you feel like you're folding it all forward, back your head up. So the back of your head is lined up with the sacrum. Now you've got it, right? Now just sweep your upper ribs towards the floor and back. Sweep towards the floor and back. It's very subtle. There's not a lot of movement. Sweep towards the floor and back. So in today's practice, we really, you'll, I think, sense that what we're doing on the floor will translate to what we do when we're on our hands and knees, and then to standing. And one more time, just sweep. So it's like you're sweeping your belly without falling over down towards the floor and back. Good. Now you'll need your strap. And you're still on the same side. Take your foot into the loop on the strap. Anatasana. So you can hold the strap in the loop. Leg, top leg reaches up towards the ceiling. You're resting on the bottom arm. I really like to press my bottom pinky toe into the floor to help me balance. And then can you stretch through the inner seam of the top leg? So inner heel presses towards the ceiling. Big toe mound presses towards the ceiling. So you really feel stretching the inner leg, inside seam of the leg. All right, we got it now. So now bend that top knee in towards your chest and roll onto your belly and extend that leg out. So you can rest your head on your opposite forearm. And the position of this outrigger leg might be completely perpendicular from the hip. More likely it's down a little bit. Press into that to the other arm and lift and scoot your belly so that your whole belly is on the floor. So you're not on your side. And then give a little tension on the belt as you press into the outrigger foot. Again, press through the inner heel and the big toe mound. Okay, so this is the Trikonasana shape, the triangle shape. Right, feel you've got this inner rotation of this outrigger leg. Great, now as gracefully as possible, we bend through that leg and slide back over onto our side and come back into Anatasana. Good, well done, everyone. And then we'll take the belt off and go to the other side. So beginning with outstretched arm, right? Top leg is behind, sole of the foot onto the floor. Arm stretched out, take the top arm with the bottom hand right at the wrist and really pull here and feel all this length through your body. And then you just sort of tip towards the floor and back up. Tip towards the floor and back up. Sort of spiral the ribs in towards the floor, come back up. Keep your breath nice and steady here. Great, now we take the strap. We're on the opposite foot now. Loop over your foot. You can maybe hold on to the tail depending on your openness of your hamstrings. And we're resting on the bottom arm, pressing bottom pinky toe into the floor to help us balance. And legs straight up, doesn't need to be into the chest at all. Push through the inner heel and the big toe mound. And then everybody head back, bottom arm back, so the back of your skull is lined up with the back of the sacrum, right? You're like a pencil with something up here, I don't know. Funny pencil. All right, now bend through the top leg, roll over onto your belly as you slide that leg out. Other arm bends, you're resting on your forearm, press into your forearm, lift and scoop your belly over. So you're right on your belly. And give a little tension on the belt and press through your big toe mound, through your inner heel. So the inside of the outrigger leg, you really feel, really pressing there and feel that, okay? Really feel that bottom leg, inner bottom leg. Take a couple of breaths into your belly, allowing parasympathetic nervous system to come online here. We toggle back and forth in the practice between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system really gives us the signal that this is safe. And if there's something that doesn't feel right, if it's too catchy, you're going to take the leg down towards, more of an open angle in your upper body. So the leg is not out perpendicular to your hips. Great. Now we roll back onto our side body, bend through the knee and come back to Anatasana. Your hand could be in the loop or on the tail of the strap. Beautiful, everybody. And then from here, bend through your knee. You can roll over, press up with your hands, and we'll come up to sitting. Set the belt. Actually, while we're sitting, go ahead and open the belt up. And open the belt up now to almost its full length, big loop, and set that aside. And if you've got the blanket, you're going to fold your blanket up now so that it's about, I don't know, it's like a burrito size. Yeah. Okay. Great. And then we'll sit on the edge of the blanket with the knees bent. Feet out in front, knees bent. If you bring in the knees too close, you'll find that you're going to dump into your back. So keep the feet out. And then from here, it could be just a hand to the opposite knee, forearm, or you might come into elbow onto opposite thigh. Choose what feels best in your body today, and then twist in that direction. So it's not a huge twist, but definitely you're gonna feel spiraling all up through your spine. Exhale to come back to center. Inhale into the movement. And then you can stay. Don't be in a hurry. Take a couple of breaths on this other side. And then you'll exhale to come back. Great. Now from here, we'll take the belt, and I'm just going to turn my orientation so I can show you a couple of variations. But we're going to come into the boat pose using the belt. So you have your belt, and just have to organize myself for a little bit. So have your tail on your dominant hand side. You're going to take your feet into the belt, and the belt goes behind you. Just a little coordination to get it all set up. You don't want any twists in the belt. And the belt is right at the top of your shoulder blades, right under the armpits. Sorry, I have the same color belt as shirt, but the belt is right under my armpits and right across my shoulders. And then my legs, I'm using my hands to help me balance. And my legs are straight here, not hyperextended, but straight. Okay, now if that doesn't work for you for any reason, you can take your feet, set them on a piece of furniture like so, hands behind you, propped up. If I could show you wall space, I could set my feet up onto wall space. I sort of set my couch up here with a big pillow, so I can get a little bit more of that boat shape with my feet on the pillow. And I've got my hands behind me in this variation so that I have an arch in my low back. I don't want to dump into my back here. Now, if you are in the strap, I'm going to set myself up in the strap, sitting on the edge of my blanket. So again, no twists in the strap. Strap right at the shoulder blades, right underneath your armpits. Legs are extended. Once you're in the boat, once you feel balanced, and this should feel really supportive, once you're there, just interlace your hands and bring them right at your navel. Open up through the collarbones, press with your feet, press with your feet. Oh, so now this boat pose, it's like floating. It's called boat pose because it's like we're floating on the water. Floating on the water. Pressing through the feet, you'll feel opening through the back of the legs, back behind the knees. Right? Can you close your eyes and take a few rounds of breath? Great. Now, from here, use your hands as a little outriggers to come out. Set the block or the belt over to the side and come into table. You can keep the blanket there for your knees. And just do a couple of rounds of cat-cow here. How is it now? We'll meet in a neutral spine. And now left, let's stay together on the side. So take left foot and take it sort of out at an angle, like you're going to outrigger out to the left. And then you roll so that you can come onto your sideline and extend the right leg out. Touching toe to the floor, maybe lifting the top leg. Pull your toes back towards your shins. So you'll recognize the shape as Ardha Chandrasana, full moon on our knee. We're going to do it later standing. Then maybe you can bend through the top knee and take your top foot here. Reach out with the top knee. Upper body is spinning open. Then come back through the same sequence and back to hands and knees. Take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Good. Now the right foot goes out like an outrigger and you sort of just get your weight onto your right hand like you're going to do side plank, right? Left leg is long. Maybe you lift the left leg. Maybe you take the top foot, the left foot in the left hand, and open into this beautiful chakrasana on our knees. Preparing to do this standing. And then come out the same way that you went in. Back to table and a couple rounds of cat-cow. Then inhale to cow. Exhale, turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Bend through both knees, extending the legs again. Do that a couple times. Next inhale, bring knees back down to your blanket and cow. And exhale, round back towards the child's pose. Keep your arms up off the floor and tense your fingertips. So there's some action, a little bit of fierceness in the shoulders and the upper back. And then inhale, come back to cow. And exhale, turn toes under, press up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come back to cow. And while you're in the table position, just make sure you have your block here now. It's going to come right in front of your body. Maybe between your hands. Press up and back, downward facing dog. And then you're going to walk your feet towards your hands. You can get real fancy and move your blanket out of the way. Walk your feet towards your hands. Block in any position, any orientation. Inhale into halfway lift. You bend through your knees now and step back into Utkatasana, chair pose, fierce pose, and then press yourself up to standing. Good, you got your block handy. In Tadasana now. Just roll the shoulders up, down, and back. Take a little organic movement here. Okay, and then we'll take the weight into one foot. I'll show this in a couple of different orientations. weight into one foot, bend the opposite knee, and bring that foot up towards your buttocks. Now lift yourself out of the standing leg and spike the bent knee down towards the floor. So hips are level. And you can release that, shake out both legs, move through your hips a little bit, and then we'll take the other side. So really spread the toes wide, get the weight completely distributed along your foot, and then bend the knee, opposite knee, lift out of the standing leg. So suck the outer hip in, and then the bent knee spikes down towards the floor. And that knee is, as much as possible, lined up with your standing leg. Not in front, not behind. Then you can release. Just move through your hips. Back and forth. And now your choice to set up either 2 blocks or 1 block. 2 blocks or 1 block. And those blocks will go to the back of your mat, long edge of your mat. Okay. Okay, so take the feet wide. Turn the right foot out and the left heel out. And we'll just begin just with some really just sort of sneaking our way into this Trikonasana. So we're going to have the front hand on the thigh, and we'll just slide down the front leg, come back up, slide down the front leg, come back up. So I have right leg forward right now. You want to make sure you have space in front of your mat to move into Ardha Chandrasana from this triangle pose. Good. And then as you're sliding and doing this action, can you keep your chest really spinning towards me? Feeling where you need to be in your feet. Then this last time, we'll slide down towards the shin, and maybe you have to bend through your knee to get your block. Block goes to the outside of the lower leg. Re-straighten the front leg, and then get your back heel turned out. Front leg, you're drawing that hip back and out. It's an outer rotation of the front leg. Back leg is an inner rotation, internal rotation. Now you could stack shoulders here in this Trikonasana. If it's too much to be down on the block, you just slide up to the thigh. Okay, if I slide up to the thigh, the stacking of my shoulders looks more like at an angle, right? Because I'm not completely in this more horizontal position with my upper body. So shoulders are stacked. Now to move to Ardha Chandrasana, I'll show it here in cue it in the open floor, and then we can talk about using a support. I bend through my front knee, look down at my front foot. I can take my top hand to my hip, scoot my back foot up, so I'm in a really short stance, and bring my block up about 8 to 12 inches really in front of the front foot. And then my hand comes to the block. It's also outside of my front foot, maybe 5, 6 inches. As I straighten my front leg, I lift my back leg. Those two actions happen together. Then spin, 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 spin my upper body towards the front of my mat, or the long edge of my mat towards my voice. Now I can stay here or bend through the top leg and take top foot with hand, just like we did on our knee, just like we did on the floor. Now, I just come back to the middle sort of orientation here, where maybe I'm not going to use my block. Maybe I've got a piece of furniture or a chair, and I can just rest my hand on the piece of furniture and come up to Ardha Chandrasana this way. Back of a chair, I've got my hand on the couch. Okay. And then to come out, we'll bend through the standing leg, the front leg, and set the back leg back and come back through a Trikonasana with just a hand on the shin, leave the block where it was. And bend through the front leg and press up, turn both feet to be parallel to one another. Inhale here, exhale, take a fold. If you need to grab your block, just reach over there and get your block. And options here, you can bring your forehead right to the floor or to the block. Or you can have your hands on the block. Just kind of like the same position we had when we were came out of that downward dog and then did a halfway lift. Good. Gather muscle onto bone on your legs. So the legs are very active, isometrically pulling feet together. Right. Then you can bend through your knees, set your hands to your hips and step up. Straightening out through your legs. We'll turn to go in the opposite direction now for Trikonasana. So left foot's lined up with the long edge of the mat, and we're just gonna begin by teasing our way in. Back hand on the hip. Just preparing the body. So part of what goes on, we've talked about this in the last few classes. Nervous system is boss. So if the nervous system is like, whoa, that's too fast, that's too much, too soon, then we're going to be hamstrung, to use a common phrase. We're going to be unable to get into that deeper pose. So we sneak our way in, we get the block, line up to the outside of the front leg. Maybe you have to adjust your back heel and then open, 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 open through your upper body. Now, if you need to be in a shorter stance, if you need to be up on your thigh, it's all fair game. So you all have a little different body, different impact and different experiences. Good. So you can stack shoulders if you desire, or you can leave your top hand on your hip. But see if you can open up through, spin your upper body towards me. Now, to move into Ardha Chandrasana, I'm going to bend through my front knee and take my gaze down to the floor. Scoop my back foot up part way, and then reach the block in front of my left foot and out to the side. And I've got a pretty good bend in my front leg, right? And then as I lean forward, I press through the front leg as I lift the back leg. Happens together. If you have a piece of furniture that you can have your top arm resting on, that helps, right? And spinning open, bending through the top leg, taking top foot with top hand. Feel your length in the inner leg of the standing leg, the inside of the standing leg. Lift your arch in that foot. Woo. Turn, bend through the knees, set your foot back as you slide back up into Trikonasana with your hand just on your shin. A little bit hard to grab the block and slide it back there. Then bend through your knees, press yourself up, turn your feet to face, line up with the short edge of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, you've got that block still there, hopefully, and you'll fold. Take your head to the block, hands to the floor, maybe head to the floor. Keep your hips lined up over your heels. Take a few rounds of breath here. And inhale to a halfway lift, could be just lifting the head off the block, hands to the block, lifting, lifting. Now heel toe the feet together till you're in a wide stance. Bend through your knees, bring your hands to your hips, press yourself up to standing. Good, now turn the right foot back to line up with the long edge of the mat. And bring the left foot back and come into Virabhadrasana legs, Virabhadrasana 1. So there's a bend in the front leg, back hamstrings lifted. And inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Now draw low ribs in and tailbone down towards the floor. So back toes are turned out in Vira 1. Front foot lined up with the long edge of the mat. Interlace your fingers, releasing just your index fingers. And if possible, squeeze biceps onto the side of your skull. Keep drawing the low ribs in and the tailbone down. Then on your exhale, you'll straighten through the front leg and press your palms down through space, nice and slow. Inhale, step your feet together at the top of your mat, Tadasana. Take a round of breath here to integrate. Good. Now take your weight into your left foot, and as you balance on that left foot, step your right foot back, bend through the front knee, and come into Vira-1 on this other side. Lift the back hamstring, back toes are turned out, front knee bent. Inhale, reach the arms up, and do the opposite gathering of your hands. Release the index fingers. Maybe your arms are out in front like this. It's fine. And if you have the openness in your shoulders, bring the arms alongside your head. So biceps squeeze into the skull. The low ribs come in, tailbone down. And if you want, you can take your gaze up towards your hands. Some of you might have your arms even back behind your head. 2 rounds of breath here. Stay with it. On your exhale, you'll straighten through the front leg as you slowly press palms down towards the floor. Like you're going through some water. Inhale, step both feet together, Tadasana. Okay, very good. Now we're going to take the block on the outside of the left foot. Bend through your knees and take your right leg over your left and rest your right foot on the block. So these are the Gomukhasana legs. Squeeze the legs together. Arms out to T. Right arm underneath left arm, just a little squeeze. Little self-hug here. And then open up, stand up. Both feet to the floor. You can move through your hips. Wiggle waggle there. Block to the other side. Outside of the right foot. Bend the knees. Take the left leg over top of the right. Just rest your left foot on the block. Squeeze legs together. Arms out to a T. Left arm under right. And give yourself a big hug. Squeezing legs, hugging, 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 hugging. Squeezing legs. And open up, release. Both feet to the floor. Do a little movement through your hips. Then top of the mat. Tadasana. Inhale as you sweep the arms up, bend through the knees slightly. And then exhale through heart center, hands to the mat, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, high Dandasana, stacking your chest between your hands, and then back again. Facing dog. Good. Now on your next inhale, drop your knees and come to cow. And then from here, choices. You can lower from the cow position, just take your chest chin to the floor. You could turn toes under and come into a high Dandasana and lower. You choose. Meet me on your belly. Very nice. Good. Now from here, a couple of choices as well. So you're on your belly. You can take your forehead to the floor, bend through your knees, taking the tops of both feet, pressing into bow, up into bow. Or you can roll onto one side, rest your head in your hand, and take one side at a time, bow this way. So we do top leg comes back, we take it with the same hand and we open up one side at a time. If you're in bow, you can come down, back down to the floor, take a rest, wiggle your hips back and forth, and then take a second go at it. Squeeze shoulder blades in and down if you're in the prone bow. Release everything to the floor. No matter where you are, everybody on the belly. Resting hands on your forearms that are stacked or your hands that are stacked. Bend through the knees and softly move your feet back and forth, releasing any tension in your low back. Then from here, we'll just sort of slide one arm under as we roll onto our back again. Bend your knees, take the soles of your feet to the floor. Okay, and then we'll take, keep the right knee bent and drop your left knee so that your left leg comes into Baddha Konasana. Okay, so the left heel is reaching now towards the right buttocks. You're going to kind of creep your foot over there. Take your left foot with your right hand. Take your left foot with your right hand. Right knee is bent. Draw your right knee across midline. So you come into an arch. Now take your left hand behind your head, and any amount you can get this left foot in towards your buttocks. Right knee goes across midline, so you get an arch in your back. Left hand behind your head, slide your left elbow back. Take 2 rounds of breath. Feel the openness, the invitation to that inner essence of who we are. Okay, slowly release. And then both feet come back to the floor, arms to the sides of your body. Just take a integrating breath. Now, right knee drops like you're in, right leg is in Baddha Konasana. Slide or wiggle that right foot over towards your left buttocks. Take your right foot with your left hand. Take your right hand behind your head. Draw your left knee across midline. Get the arch in your back. Bring your right heel comes up towards your buttocks. Right, you get that arch in your back, then you slide the right elbow back. Beautiful. Release everything, come back to center. Soles of feet to the floor. Arms underneath your head, hands interlaced underneath your head, or arms in the goalpost or beside you, just a few pelvic tilts. Neutralizing through your sacrum, low back. Well done, yep. Okay, now let's roll over to one side, press up. Hopefully you still have your folded blanket somewhere. And we'll take the blanket, that burrito blanket, set on the blanket, take one foot into Baddha Konasana and the other leg long. Sit up nice and tall, and twist towards the bent leg side. Now, I've got my right leg long and I'm pressing into that heel. So that leg is active, left leg is bent, I'm twisting towards the left. Now I'm going to bring my gaze back over right in front of me, right to the center. So wherever you are, bring your gaze and your head back to center. Just slowly unwind, little counter twist, and then we switch. And make sure, so we're not, the leg is not straight out in front, it's a little offset. Sit up nice and tall, inhale the spine long and exhale the twist. We start here, and then we bring our head forward. Then a little counter twist. Okay, and then from here, you're going to have to decide what works in your body. So I'm still sitting on the blanket. I'm going to tuck one foot underneath and stack opposite knee on top. This is the Gomukhasana legs. And if it doesn't work for you in your body to be sitting, you'll just go to your back, right? And cross one leg over the other. If you're able to have this happen in your body while you're sitting, the feet are out like little wings and the knees are stacked. And then we just take a teeny bit of a fold forward. If you're on the floor on your back with one leg over the other, you could go back to that first little action we did where we just took the knees over to one side. So if you had your right leg on top, you'd just outswing a little to the right and back to center, outswing a little to the right and back to center. Or you can squeeze your knees in towards your chest if you're on your back. Good. You're sitting up, we lean back and switch. Orientation, opposite knee on top, a little bit of fold forward. And I'm always surprised in my own body when I switch sides, and I think this is the more open side. Right now I have my right leg on top, and I think my right hip, outer hip is more open, but it actually feels quite tight, quite bound up right now. Interesting to observe my own body, where things get stuck. Good. We'll open up now to the Dandasana. If you're on your back, you can come join us in Dandasana. Up on the prop, legs out in front. And the hands, again, we don't want to dump into, I'll just change my orientation here. Don't want to dump into the low back, so we can have our hands behind us or maybe on the prop here, pressing heels into floor, toes back towards shins. Maybe there's a ability to fold slightly forward. Okay. Come upright and slide yourself off the prop, but keep it here now and slide it all the way to the back of your mat. That's my blanket. It's going to be for my head. And I'm going to use the widest part, the part of the block with the most surface area, right in front of that. And that's going to be for my shoulders. And you could do side-by-side blocks here if you have a little bit more girth. I think I can get away with one block. And then when you come down, this will be a variation of fish. We want the shoulder blades on the block. Shoulder blades are on the block. and head comes to the blanket. And you might have to make your blanket a little bit thicker, a little higher prop for your head. Now, gather navel up and in. All right, if this is uncomfortable in any aspect of it is uncomfortable, just come right to Shavasana. But if you're okay here, now remember that actually had at the beginning of the class when we were doing the unwinding, the head, the cervical spine is arched here, neck, and we open the jaw. And you could take the tip of your tongue to the upper palate. Arms are out to the side. And now your gaze inward to the fullness that is always there. Obscured by shadows, sometimes by darkness. Always there. So slight engagement in your legs, your feet. You could try pointing the toes, really stretching the necks of your toes long. Relaxing feet all together. You can stay here, or you can bend your knees. Press yourself onto one elbow, slide your block out, coming down onto your back and into Shavasana, adjusting your other prop as necessary. You might want it under your head or not. Just come all the way down now and let there be an assimilation of your practice deep, deep, deep into your bones, into your person. Bones are heavy. We feel the support of the earth beneath you. Relax your jaw. Relax the space between your brow. Any mental grasping. And from here, just an internal Om. So inhale through the nostrils, and on your exhale, just a vibratory hum through your system, an internal Om. And then just listening to the audible one from me. Let it vibrate through your body. Om. Namaste, and so many blessings for this time of year.